This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another sports catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, July 28th, is actually a man who's not known for being part of the four major sports: baseball, basketball, football, hockey. But still, his league, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, is one of the biggest uh, events not in the Big Four. It's the largest MMA organization in the world, and the UFC has been a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. And the net worth for this guy is about $500 million. He is Dana Frederick White Jr., 52 years old today. The reason that this guy, Dana White, seemed to come out of freaking nowhere and take the UFC and make it the best organization in the world. So, anyway, he actually started his life in Massachusetts, but he left for Las Vegas because he was threatened by mobster Whitey Bulger and his associate. They wanted $2,500 back, and Dana didn't have the money. He actually managed Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell at one time, and he met the owner of Semaphore Entertainment Group, which was the main company of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Bob Merowitz. When White learned that Merowitz was trying to sell the UFC, he contacted a childhood friend who was actually co-founder of Station Casinos to ask if he would be interested in acquiring the company. In 2001, Lorenzo, the childhood friend, and his older brother Frank acquired the UFC for $2 million, which is a subsidy of SUFA. And Dana White was made UFC president. But Dana said that when they got UFC, they only had the brand name and an old octagon. And the previous owners actually stripped the company's assets to avoid bankruptcy. So much so that the UFC.com website was sold to user-friendly computers. Over time, with Dana White as president, the UFC has been a big business, and its gross revenue was over $600 million by 2015. In 2016, SIFA was sold to a consortium of investors led by IMG for $4 billion. Dana only had 9% of the company. He would be president and given stake in the business. Dana White would have his own show, the Contender Series. Basically, that it will allow up-and-coming fighters to showcase their talents in hopes of one day being in the UFC. And Dana White actually revealed that he signed a 7-year contract to be president of the UFC in 2019, when the UFC signed the deal with ESPN. So Dana White's been the president for a long time. He actually co-promoted the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor fight because of McGregor being the UFC guy. And he wanted boxing into the UFC. So anyway, he's been in a few episodes of shows, nothing really good. Dana White actually met his wife, Anne, and married in 1996. They have two sons, Dana III and Aiden, and one daughter, Savannah. White values his privacy and keeps his wife out of the public spotlight. He bought a mansion in Las Vegas from Frank Fertilla for $1.95 million. White bought 3 other mansions in the same area to make a mega mansion for him and his family. Dana White is an atheist, even though he was raised as a Catholic. Dana's mother actually released a book about her son, saying Dana White, King of MMA, an unauthorized biography. And basically, she claimed that Dana turned on his back on his family and friends who were there for him when he needed help and support. Dana White is a big fan of the Beastie Boys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine. Dana White unfortunately endorsed Donald Trump and all that. But mostly because Trump helped the UFC at its beginnings, allowed the UFC to host its first event under SUFA ownership at the Taj Mahal in New Jersey, UFC 30, when other people refused to host the UFC. He wasn't a sex tape lawsuit, but it was an extortion attempt, and the lawsuit was dismissed. Dana White has Meniere's disease, a neurological disorder, saying it's like vertigo but on steroids. When he missed out on the UFC on Field TV 3 match, it was the first time in 11 years that Dana White missed a UFC event. White's donated to many charities. He's basically been the best world MMA guy around, and you know how UFC was. So UFC. I am proud to say that I own the first. Well, I own a few UFC things on my computer and DVD and all that. Watching how Dana White brought UFC 30 the first time he was the company president from UFC 1, it was a whole lot different and all that. Yes, there was a lot of problems with the early days of the UFC because of it being no holds barred fighting and basically not having rules and all that. Many states basically said we can't allow this to happen and all that because of the graphic details, especially UFC 1 in the first match when Gerard Godot was known for being kind of a dick and all that. Kickboxer basically kicked one of Taylor Tully's teeth out of his mouth and it flew into the stands. So basically, the UFC was a lot primitive and all that, but Dana White made the UFC what it is today, and you know it's brought a lot of fights to different countries, especially Canada. I remember at one time he brought a pay-per-view of the pay-per-view of the Toronto in 2009, and it set the record for largest indoor attendance. And like it really sold out the Skydome. So yeah, so he's a great guy. I mean, when you bring UFC into the forefront and you basically don't fear anybody, you are a number one star in my book. Somehow. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.